to enjoy it. I mean, and to appreciate it. It takes a while to learn.
That goes along with how we were talking about ear training. You know, you can't start on Stravinsky or Mahler.
No, and so it's that sound thing again, which is so important in practicing. Get a decent sound out of whatever you're doing. You have to get a nice sound out of it.
How I relate that though, okay, so you have this image or this
sound in my head.
The sound image in your head.
Yes.
For me, now that I figured out how to do it, yay! What? So it took a while. But I like it how it's with the one note. No, I'm saying. But
how what's with the one note? The sound?
Practicing, and the sound is with one note.
Okay.
Okay, but I can't. I mean, I suppose I could sit there on the one note like all afternoon trying to figure out how to do a beautiful sound. But to me, the sound is just sort of, you know how you're always telling me to dig in and to get into the center of the sound. Okay, so now I can do it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when you practice it, I'm always trying to go for that sort of feel. But I don't, for my sound image, because we all have a distinct one, it's not necessarily what you're talking about, this beautiful sound or whatever. Well, okay, but here's the other thing, okay?
It's different. Yeah.
For me, I don't know what my voice sounds like.
That's the thing.
Because I can't hear it.
Right.
I mean, you know, you can do those dumb singer tricks where they go like this or they go like this. If you actually do that, you can hear it differently. But you can also close your ears completely. Or you can close your nose. So you get these different sounds.
Different sounds, but are they what I hear or what you would hear?
No.
Doing
I can't ever hear my singing unless I hear a recording, and then usually when you hear yourself the first time, you're like, that's not me.
Right. Well, the thing with again, we're talking about the sound, but it's the feel, which is the same thing. It's the feel in my hand playing the instrument.
I can feel when I'm on the note.
Right. If you don't get the feel right, you're not going to get the sound. And sometimes the sound's all right, but the feel, or you think it is, but the feel isn't right.
You're not going to get unless you feel it.
Yes, you have to feel it. So it doesn't matter.
You can't dig into the note further
instrument.
Unless you can feel it
that you get to that
place.
core. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter singing or playing. When you get to the core, the sound will be good.
Okay, fine.
And if you do one note, you will find where that core is. A slow note, you'll find that core. You don't have to do it for 20 bars. You can do it for 2, but you will find that. I don't know how.
But do you find that initially in the beginning when you're practicing?
Well, I think if a teacher had to do that, you might.
And then they say that's the right one.
Yes, right. And then because you have to teach a person to get their ears to
remember how
listen to that.
How I knew, how I learned now what that is.
It's got to be a feeling again. It's a feeling, your breath and all that.
It also goes along with this natural acoustic. When it's right, it's right.
Yeah.
There's sort of this
you get
natural.
The overtones. You mean, or
maybe I can't totally hear that. Maybe you can hear it better when you're playing.
No, you don't
when
think
you're
about
singing,
that.
Well, okay, but it just feels right.
Yes.
It's hard to explain what that is.
It is hard to explain. But if you feel it and you hear the sound at the same time, you'll put the two together. You know, it's like Pavlov and the dog and the bell. So you could do that with a young child, with any beginner, doesn't matter, young or not. Just like Gary and his piano. If you get a sound out of it, you get the feel of how you make that sound.
Okay, so when you say sound, you're referring to this core, the middle, center.
Yes, and it doesn't matter how good the instrument is. I mean, the better the instrument is, the easier it is. But also it's not, because sometimes a really good instrument is hard to play because you get a great sound, but you're not in the core sometimes. So, but a lesser good instrument, you have to work hard. Yeah, whatever that is. You have to you know, work a little harder to get a decent sound out of it. It's not necessarily the greatest sound that you want to hear, but it's a good sound if you can feel it.
Yeah. I can relate to that with singing.
Yeah, it's the same idea. It's okay.
Because
so
some songs fit better, or pieces of music fit better in my voice than others, but even the ones that don't fit as well, since I can sing now,
you gotta get the sound into it. So the whole point of practicing is to work on the sound, not the technique. The technique.
But that goes along with it.
That goes along with it. But if you don't have a decent sound, you have this surface technique, which so many young violinists and people do. You know, you can play. I mean, everybody has different facility, but if you have an easy facility, you're doodling all, you know, playing all over the place, but you're not getting any real gutsy sound out of it.
There's no real resonance.
So that's...
And the beauty doesn't fit.
Yeah, right. So it's all technique, I guess.
Because I think with singing, that is when you get that good sound, that there is a natural beauty to it.
Yes, that's right.
Which some people say, you know, there's a certain resonance or whatever, and physically, you know, physically,
yes,
you can sit there and notate it and see how many I forget what
vibrations?
It's called. Well,
like a sine curve.
Sound wave and all that, it is per millisecond.
Yes, yeah.
And supposedly the human ear will respond or
at certain
to a
levels.
Certain, yes. If it's too slow, then it's like
not
they call it wobbly, so it's not good on the ear.
Right.
It's too fast and it's too shrilly.
Yeah.
It has to be within this certain
okay,
natural
I believe that. So all right, so all that goes back to nature, really. And how you observe nature, how you treat nature. Because if you don't treat the natural part of the body and the sound right, it's going to be ugly. So
what some would say ugly, some others would not. But yes,
well, yes
the majority,
and no. I mean, I like the Chinese instrument music, and that's a whole different sound. Okay, enough. But that's a whole different.
I'm not making fun of that, but that is how they do it.
But there's something intriguing about that, and those Chinese instruments, they're intriguing.
We heard that
orchestra,
Shanghai Orchestra,
Shanghai Natural or Chinese Instrument Orchestra, I think it was called.
Yeah, you just have to
fascinating.
By the end of the concert, we had got our ears to, and it was good. In the beginning, it's a little different because their tuning and stuff is so different from what we're used to.
Yeah, it's more of a natural sound. It's a natural.
All those Chinese who had heard it, it's not unnatural to them. It's natural to them.
It's their instruments are actually more natural from the basic gourds and so forth with one string, a gut string. A gut sound is really different. Now, in the West, it's evolved into the silver wound gut is what strings are. And a gut string, it sounds kind of weird after you're used to these silver wound gut ones. And a lot of times, which string is it? An A string maybe they'll have, or an E string they'll have gut. I don't know why. I don't know if they do that anymore. They did when I started playing. You'd have one string that was a gut string because it was so thin maybe. And it has an entirely different sound than the other ones. The bigger strings like the G and the C, they were always wound, always, maybe because they last longer, I don't know. But that changes the sound too. So you get different kinds of strings on an instrument, or mouthpieces on anything, a brass instrument, or the reeds on that changes the sound completely all the time. So you have to get used to that, but you still have to find that core in the sound, no matter what the sound is. And every reed player, they're constantly making reeds right, and one sounds right and one doesn't, so they throw it away all the time.
Yeah,
so it's that sound. Well, that's just to keep them moist, but it's when they're in their rooms making them, you know.
Making them or
yeah. So, but that's to keep the sound correct, but the sound is different. Those Chinese, they have reed instruments too, and their sound is entirely different from an oboe here.
Right.